July 4th, 1944, 4:30 a.m. Under cover of night, 4 American planes of VFN-76, one of the U.S. Navy's first night fighter squadrons, make their way to the island of Chichijima in the Pacific. The 4 Grumman F-6F Hellcats are radar-equipped, a new technology that uses radio waves to detect and track other aircraft in total darkness. Their instrument panels glow in dim red light to preserve night vision. 21-year-old Buck Dungan flies element lead.
The Hellcat was such a stable machine, we all fell in love with it.
Dungan and his wingman, Johnny Deere, split off from their flight lead. They each carry one 500-pound bomb to hit shipping in Futami Cove. The drone of the Hellcat's Pratt & Whitney engines is heard for miles around, alerting the Japanese to the specter of an American attack. Enemy anti-aircraft gunners fire blindly into the night sky. Dungan steers clear of the tracers while using his compass, altimeter, and artificial horizon to navigate, called flying on instruments. Though nighttime combat had occurred as early as World War I, it wasn't until the advent of this sort of advanced instrumentation in the late 1930s that true night fighting and navigation was possible. Soon, Dungan spots a target in the water below, a lightly armored Japanese destroyer escort.
We saw a small ship leaving the harbor, and it had an umbrella of fire above it. So I said, Johnny, let's make a low-side run.
The Hellcats dropped to wave-top level for the risky broadside attack. Dungan carefully monitors his altimeter and artificial horizon to avoid hitting the water. The gunners on board the Japanese destroyer have no idea where the night fighters are coming from. Dungan unleashes a torrent of .50 caliber ammunition at the ship.
A .50 caliber slug is as big around as your thumb, and about as long too. At 2,400 rounds per minute from 6 guns meeting at one place, it's going to knock holes in just about anything.
To preserve night vision, the Hellcats don't use tracers.
Even without the tracers, you have a great flash, but you don't look at it. You keep your eyesight way ahead, away from light.
Dungan and Deere pull hard back on their sticks to climb over the top of the destroyer escort.
I said, Johnny, the upstairs is open for us. They're inviting us in. And so we made a high-side run.
Below them, the ship's gunners still have no idea where the Americans are. The Japanese begin firing low, out over the water. Dungan and Deere rake the deck, firing down the smokestack directly into the engines. Flames erupt and smoke belches from the wounded ship. It is dead in the water.
So here, 2 Hellcats with 6 .50 calibers apiece took on a fighting ship that had a lot of armament, and we beat up on it and we sunk it.
Without being detected, the Americans have made quick work of the enemy ship. The Hellcats turn their attention to the island itself. They split up, each patrolling his own sector of sky.
In night fighting, you assign an area because then anyone you see is not friendly, and he's a target.
Suddenly, a shadow passes overhead. It's a Japanese Navy Zero equipped with amphibious floats. American pilots call these planes Rufes. The Rufe pilot can navigate at night on instruments, but he has no radar to see in the dark. Undetected, Dungan closes on his enemy's 6 o'clock.
I knew the fuel was carried in the float, so I aimed on the strut between the float and the cockpit and just touched the trigger, just one little.
The Zero bursts into flame and plummets. The explosion has given away the night fighter's position. Suddenly, tracers rip through the night sky.
I turned and looked, and I had 3 in back of me who were firing at me.
Buck Dungan's top secret training as a Navy night fighter is about to be put to the test. In 1943, Buck Dungan joined the U.S. Navy's night fighter program, codenamed Project Affirm, based at Quonset Point in Rhode Island. Project Affirm and almost all other night fighter programs utilized a technology that in World War II was only in its infancy: radar. Radar, or radio detection and ranging, uses radio waves to detect objects beyond visual range. Radio energy is transmitted from an antenna. Objects in the sky reflect some of this energy back to a detector, where these radar returns can be processed and used to determine the distance to the target, altitude, and direction of travel.
Next to the atomic bomb, the development and various forms of radar was the #2 priority for both America and the British.
The British used ground-based radar to combat Luftwaffe daylight bombing during the Battle of Britain. As losses mounted, the Germans were forced to fight at night. The RAF needed a new form of radar, something small enough to fit on an individual airplane. This onboard radar would be a fighter pilot's eyes in the dark, allowing him to steal in close to an enemy and make the kill undetected.
The radars were big, bulky pieces of equipment, vacuum tubes, and a lot of heat and needed a lot of power that the airplanes of the day just couldn't deliver. So the British did a lot of the development of these early radars to be able to fit inside still fairly large aircraft, twin engine versus, say, a Spitfire.
This new radar, called Airborne Intercept, allowed night fighters to track individual aircraft in total darkness. The British shared the technology with the U.S. Navy in 1940. By 1942, radar sets could fit on single-engine fighters. Project Affirm, America's first night fighter training program,